This is the Pixel Fold, Google's first ever folding phone, and one that solves some of the major issues with other foldables. Now, the first thing that stands out to me about the phone is how thin it is. Despite being a phone that can unfold into a tablet, it's actually not much thicker than my iPhone 14 Pro with a case on it, which in large part is due to the hinge design that Google went with, which allows the phone to fold fully flat. The phone's definitely a lot shorter than you'd expect it to be, given how tall most phones are today, but it feels really premium on the outside. You've got a shiny aluminum on the sides, a matte glass on the back, along with that iconic camera bar that makes it feel right at home in the Pixel lineup. So the first issue that I think the Pixel Fold solves is with the outer screen. Unlike Samsung's foldables, it's not super narrow. It actually feels a lot more like a normal phone does, where typing on it doesn't feel super cramped. And to me at least, it's one that you can realistically use for flex modes, where you can use that hinge to prop the screen up and watch videos hands-free. Of course, when you want a bigger experience, you have that 7.6-inch display on the inside. It's basically the same size as the inner display on the Galaxy Fold, except for it has a landscape orientation compared to the Galaxy's portrait. And what I like about it is when you're watching a video on YouTube or a movie, it's already in the correct position. Whereas on the Galaxy, you have to turn the phone sideways in order to watch something in landscape. The downside of this though is it does make the phone a little bit harder to hold. Because it's wider, it definitely requires two hands when holding it open, and typing on the keyboard is harder as well since your hands are further apart. So for me at least, I'd mainly use this screen for consuming content and then the outer one for everything else. And then the main drawback that isn't just me being nitpicky is some apps don't work the way you'd expect them to on that inner screen, with them not scaling up the way they do on the Galaxy Fold. This is mainly due to the landscape orientation on the Pixel Fold, where if you turn the phone to its side, it works fine, but given that landscape is the default orientation, until app developers actually update their apps for the Pixel Fold, this is a major inconvenience. And yes, it's got chunkier bezels. It's really my least favorite part about the phone. Apparently, this design choice was one Google had to make in order to get the device to be as thin as it is. And on the plus side, that inner selfie camera has significantly better image quality compared to the Galaxy's under-display camera. Speaking of cameras, this is the second problem that I think Google kind of solves with foldables, with the Pixel Fold including a periscope lens that allows you to zoom in at 5x without losing any image quality. This, combined with Google's mastery of image processing, I think gives the Pixel Fold an advantage over the competition. It just feels like there's less of a compromise going from the flagship candy bar camera to the foldable one with the Pixel lineup. But that's not to say that there aren't compromises in general. We've already talked about the bezels on the inner screen, but other little things I've found are when you unfold the phone, it doesn't go all the way flat. Like you can bend it back to where it does, but when you open it up naturally, it always has this little bit of a curve there. And while the Pixel is plenty fast, the chipset isn't best in class. The Pixel 7 Pro has the same chip, which fell behind even last year's Galaxy Fold 4. And while it's not the biggest deal in the world, since again, it's fast enough, given that this phone costs $1,800, I was kind of hoping for the new Tensor 3 chip. None of these are necessarily deal breakers to me, and really, I think the Pixel Fold brings something different to the market. The focus here is it's a normal phone first that can also act as a tablet if you want it, whereas with something like the Galaxy Fold, it feels like a tablet first that can also act as a normal phone if you want it. So overall, I think Google is making a smart bet, not just making the same phone as the competition, and really trying to bring a different philosophy to it. And for this being their first attempt at a foldable phone, it's promising.